The definition of the word husband. What does it mean? The word husband comes from the Old English word human, meaning adult male, and is thought to have originated in the Anglo-Saxon language. The word husband has also been in use for over 1,000 years. In the Old Testament, it was used to refer to a man who had taken a wife. What does it mean to be a husband? It is interesting how this term has evolved and changed throughout time, and how we might think of what being a husband means today is different from what it meant centuries ago. A husband is a male who is married to one woman for life. They commonly live together and have children together, and traditionally raise those children as their own. In ancient times, the husband was seen as the provider of his family's livelihood and wealth, which was passed down from father to son or grandfather to grandson through inheritance. Wives were not seen as equals in society and had no legal rights until much later on in history. A husband and wife are legally bound to be faithful to one another until death do them part. The law of the United States is not one-sided in this regard. A husband cannot divorce his wife without her permission, and in most states, they cannot legally marry without the approval of the state's civil authorities or religious leaders. This is because marriage, divorced or not, is a legal contract between two people that must be approved by those with a right to approve it. The idea that women were inferior and could never have equal rights is not entirely far-fetched. In many cultures, women have traditionally been treated as property of the husband and had no say in their own lives. Women who did not live under these conditions were viewed as unnatural and immoral. In some cultures, women still do not enjoy the same legal rights as men, such as in Saudi Arabia, where men can divorce their wives with triple talaq or divorce by saying "I divorce you 3 times." In the United States, many efforts have been taken in order to improve gender equality. One method is through education. The American Association of University Women, AAUW, conducts surveys about how well women are being represented in schools and what they learn there. They discovered that men are twice as likely to say they learned nothing about sex in school, while only 13% of women said the same. The Institute for Women's Policy Research, IWPR, is another organization that looks into how American society and what it teaches women. They conduct surveys on how well the education system treats women. The IWPR found that in some states, girls were receiving significantly less math than boys. How does language influence our understanding of husbands? This video will explore how different languages can influence the way we see husbands. It will look at how these differences in language can have a big impact on the way men are seen by society, as well as the role of fathers in their children's lives. 1. In English, husbands are typically associated with being the main breadwinners in their households. This is largely due to the phrase "that husband of yours." This phrase not only associates a man with his wife and children, but also leads us to see men as being more responsible than women for providing financially for their families. 1. In Arabic, husbands are not typically considered the main breadwinners for their families. When a woman marries, she typically becomes the breadwinner of her family. This is because women are educated and can therefore be employed more easily than men. 2. Japanese men are considered the breadwinners for their families, which is largely due to machismo. There are many different types of masculinity, and the Japanese culture is a good example. In Japan, men take pride in their gender and have been praised for their hard work since ancient times. 3. Some cultural ideologies in Spain associate men with being the primary wage earners of their families by default. This leads us to see men as more responsible for providing financially for their families, which can have a negative impact on how society views men and fatherhood. 4. There is a common belief in South Korea that being masculine means not having feelings, especially sadness or mental illness. This belief can lead to men experiencing social stigma if they express sadness or other emotions to others. 5. Spain mental health is considered less important in Spanish culture. So unfortunately, it is more common for men to cope with mental health issues without seeking help. Additionally, there is a stigma associated with mental health in Spain. 6. Culture-specific assumptions of mental illness and how they impact men in Mexico. There is often a societal expectation that men in Mexico should always be strong and never show weakness. 7. The Filipino culture has traditionally been male-dominated and may view challenges as a result of weakness. Filipino culture also includes an emphasis on fighting for what you want and progressing. 8. Indians often see emotional or mental difficulties as a sign of weakness or lack of control. This is also true in India's Western culture, where many men perceive their emotions as being unmanly. Some ways to find a good husband in modern time. This is because of the evolution of women's role in society and their contribution to the workforce. But there are many reasons why husbands still exist today, some of which include their ability to provide emotional stability for their wives, their ability to provide a masculine presence in the household, their ability to provide protection and security for their wives. They help maintain the family unit. If you want to find a husband, this is not the best place to look. Most of the time, you have to find a husband in the natural course of life. Therefore, there is no need to use a matchmaking agency. Matchmaking, the process of gathering a number of potential partners and introducing them to one another, usually with the aim of finding a mate or spouse. Matchmaking is often thought of as a social institution that is focused on helping couples find compatible mates, often through introductions by third parties. You can find references to matchmaking in the Bible, and even Roman society had its own matchmakers. A third party introduces two people to each other and helps them determine if a relationship is worth pursuing. Matchmaker is the term used over the years to refer to someone that helps people find love. Matchmaking is a type of service offered by matchmakers, also known as dating services, matchmakers, or dating professionals. It can be in person, via telephone, or online. Matchmaking services are often used as introductions between potential dates, and may also include arranging dates for singles who want to meet other singles through social events such as singles mixers, speed dating, and game nights. The term is also sometimes used to describe how an individual makes a match through introductions. This process can involve either of two methods, arranging the introduction or screening potential partners. The screening process may involve the dating service or a third-party professional. Thank you for watching part 1 of What Makes a Husband, a Husband? And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, please.